Hi, thanks for joining me. Animals. I'm talking about animals today. Animals have an amazing connection with energy. As you know, with a lot of your pets, they just know when you're feeling sick or you're not well. We had a little fox terrier for years, and she used to run and jump on my mum's lap. And the day that my mum got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, she'd come home with dad, and they were sitting out in the backyard having a cup of tea and just talking about what they were going to do about, the treatment plan for mum and whatever. And our little dog ran towards her, and she just stopped in her tracks and sat at my mum's feet. And from that day on, she never jumped on my mum's lap again. Without being told not to jump or anything, she just knew that there was something wrong with my mum's health and not to jump on her lap again. And my own experience with animals is I have this really weird energy with animals. I don't know if in a past life if I hurt animals at all, but I seem to get. It's not that they want to attack me, but they always notice my energy. I may have a fear. I don't think I have a fear there of animals, but I may have a subconscious fear there that's radiating out that animals will run at me. So when I was young, like about 4 years of age, I was on. My brother was on one of those rides, out the front of a shop where you used to put coins in, and the ride would, go back and forward. He was on that, and I was watching him, and this little dog just ran up and bit me, drew blood on my arm. So I had to go running into the shop to get mum because I'm bleeding everywhere. So that I had sort of like a fear of dogs for a while after that. But when I went to the zoo, the Adelaide Zoo, with my oldest three children were young, and I took them with my mother-in-law, and we were just walking around looking at all the animals, teaching the kids what each animal was. And we got to where there was this orangutan enclosure. And so it was like there was rocks everywhere, and then there was a waterway, and then the fence, a stone fence. So we were sort of behind the stone fence. There was no cage or anything, but it was the waterway that was kind of holding the orangutans back from, like, we couldn't get close to them. And we're just standing there. There was like five of us. We're just standing there looking at them. And there's one particular orangutan just eyeballs me, like he's just got his eyes on me, and he gets up and he sort of takes this stance, and I'm sort of standing there like looking like this, and he started to come over to the edge of the water, and he would not take his eyes off me. He was just like glaring at me, and my mother-in-law was saying, "But what have you done?" And I said, "I don't know what I've done. He's just staring at me," and it was making me feel very, very uncomfortable. And then the zookeeper came over, like a ranger or whatever. He came over and said to me, he started telling me off for feeding this orangutan, and I said, "I haven't fed the orangutan. I've just stood here and watched, and that's the reaction that it's giving me." And he said, "Well, that's the reaction he does when someone throws food." And I said, honestly, I haven't thrown anything. I'm just standing here looking, and it's making me feel comfortable." And he just said, "Well, just move on." And he got really mad with me. I didn't do anything at all. I just stood there, and this orangutan must have sensed my energy in some way, because he just came up and would not, the eyes were, like his eyes and my eyes were locked. And it was uncomfortable feeling for me. So then years and years later, I went to a wildlife park where they have, a multitude of different animals. And it's got to a point now where my family know the reaction that animals have with me. So they think it's quite funny that, because animals will chase me. If I go for a walk on the beach, excuse me, and someone's walking the other way with their dog wants to either get off the lead, or if the dog is off the lead, it'll always run to me, always. I've had dogs run and like cock their leg and pee on me. I've just been laying on a beach towel in the sun, like minding my own business, and I've had dogs come from nowhere and just want to jump on top of me. So when we went to this wildlife park, I guess by the time I was like a lot older and this was happening all my life, I probably do have a fear now of what the reaction's going to be. So I've walked in, and the first section we have to walk through is chickens. Now, normally, chickens just scratch around and peck at the dirt, and they don't, when it's a wildlife park, there's people walking through all the time. Chickens don't react. And I walked in the gate and they were at my ankles. They were like pecking my ankles. So I'm sort of rushing through there, and my family are laughing at me because no chicken is pecking anyone else's ankles in that place bar mine. So then I got through the gate as quick as I could. And we're walking across a green grassed area, and there's wild kangaroos just laying over there sleeping in the sun. And I kid you not, as I looked across, every single kangaroo out there that was laying down or, just like that half sitting or whatever, they all looked up at me at exactly the same time. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm sorry for the swearing, but I thought they were actually all going to come jumping over at me. They all did it at exactly the same time. They're all like, she's there. And so then I was like grabbing my family, going, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, we're going to go, we're going to go. They were all like up on their tail, looking at me. Some were starting to bounce towards me. And I thought, like, let's go to the next bit. We get through the next gate, and there is a eagle that was in an enclosure, like this big, large enclosure. And I love birds. I have no fear of birds, and birds will come and sit at my windowsill. Sometimes you'll hear birds chirping in my videos. I have a crow that sits on my windowsill and watches me through the kitchen window. I love birds. So when I saw this eagle, I felt I felt drawn to it. And it was just sitting there, and all of a sudden it spread its wings out as like wide as it would go, and it started running up and down that cage. Like it was just running, and I started panicking because I thought it was going to hurt itself. It's kind of like it went into like a rage of some sort. It's just running up and down the cage. And I've got to move. As soon as I walk away, it stopped doing that. It was only while I was walking past it. It was running up and down like alongside me as I was walking past the cage. And then we went on to all the other, like there was a crocodile in there was koalas and wombats. Every animal had some kind of reaction or just eyeballed me, like they just wanted to get. I don't know if it was my energy is different to who all the other people were that were around me, so that the animals were really reacting to my energy. So I've had up one day my father-in-law had a farm. He had a dairy farm, and they were shearing sheep. And so I've walked into the shearing shed, and as he let one of the sheep go, all the sheep were getting shorn, and they were running out through the thing. I walk into the shed, and he lets the sheep go. No, this sheep doesn't run out through the thing like every other sheep had. This sheep ran straight at me, like it was going to ram me. And I jumped over the railing to get away from it. And my father-in-law was like rolling around hysterically laughing. Because it frightens me. They run at me like they're going to attack me. Then we had cows on our property, and they were bred from when they were calves, so they were like pets basically. They knew all the kids in the family. My husband would go out and just yell, come on girls, and the cows would all just wander up. And I didn't really want to have anything to do with them because of my reaction with animals. And so one day he said to me, can you open the gate? I'm going to bring the cows up the laneway. Can you just hold the gate open so I can get them into this paddock? I'm hesitant. And I said, okay, because normally he would ask one of the boys to do it, but they weren't there. So I've stood, I had the gate open. I was in front of the gate and I had the gate open, and they were supposed to come down a laneway, turn and go into a paddock. And I'm sort of, the gate's here. They're going to go in front of the gate. And I'm sort of back here holding the gate. So the minute they've gone in there, I'm going to run behind them and shut the gate. Where did they go? They didn't go in there. They didn't go in there. They ran straight at me. So then I started running up the laneway, and the cows all followed me. And then my husband was just screaming his head off because that's not what the plan was. I don't know. I don't know what it is with animals and my energy, but they all run at me. I do love lizards, and I feel like a lizard is my spirit animal. Sometimes there'll just be a lizard sitting at my front door. There's one in the garden at the moment. It just runs up and down the garden. Fine with lizards. And my fourth son, he has this really strong connection with foxes. And when he was a little boy, I was hanging the washing up on the line, and he was playing in a sand pit, and I looked across and there was a fox sitting, like probably 2 meters away from him, just watching him playing in the sand pit. And I've just gone, Jack. Jack was all of about 4. I said, Jack, look up. There's a fox watching you. And he's just sort of sat there, and it did frighten him a little bit. Foxes, they don't really attack. If you're frightened, they get frightened, and the fox ran away. And then on another occasion, he went out when he was older, probably about 8 years old. He went out onto the front veranda, and this fox just came around the corner and stood there and looked at him. Everyone else had been outside, and no one else saw this fox. It just showed up in front of him. And even in the house that we're living in now, when he was about 20 years old, he walked out the front. We were in a suburban place where there is no wildlife, only birds, but there's no kangaroos that jump up and down the road or anything like that. But he walked out one night to take our dog for a walk, and there was a fox just ran up the middle of the road. It just ran It just ran in the middle of the road and ran straight towards him, and then he come inside. I went out there, no fox. So you might find that you have some kind of spirit animal yourself that just shows up in the weirdest of places that's connected to your energy. You might have the same thing happen to you as I do, where animals kind of react to your energy, and they just want to, I don't know whether they want to attack me, because although I've been pecked at by chickens and sort of rammed into by sheep and bitten by a dog, they've never really hurt me. It's just more of they really get my attention. So are they feeling, is my energy a bit too intense for them, and makes them react? I don't know. I'd love to hear your comments on, there might be people out there that are really, really great with animals, and you are like animal whisperers. You've got such a connection with animals, and you can see why they react in certain ways and why they would be reacting with my energy like that. But it's not just one type of animal, it's all of them. But birds, I have a really beautiful connection with birds. I've never been attacked. I could walk around at magpie season and they swoop everyone else, but I don't get swooped. So I don't know what that's all about, but it's pretty interesting. So yeah, share your stories with me if you've had that kind of reaction with animals, or something just wanted to attack you and not everyone else that was around you. I'd love to hear your stories as well. Thank you for listening.